Hello, hello. Good morning. This is Roosevelt Bowie coming to you live from Kendall, New York, down on Bald Eagle Drive. And first of all, I wanted to say today is my cousin Aaron Bowie Jr. It's his birthday, February 2nd. And I wanted to say happy birthday to him and just talk about growing up in Kendall. And he's my mentor, my teacher, and my cousin. And so he probably was the most amazing basketball player that I'd ever seen at that time. He was about 6'4". That's Aaron, 6'4", played center. Just the most amazing athlete that I've ever known. At 6'4" is maybe 185 pounds, maybe 190 pounds. And he had a vertical. He could jump up and almost touch the top of the backboard. Others have said they've seen him touch the top of the backboard at 6'4". So, and that's after leaving Kendall at the young age of 13. I'm leaving Holly at the age of 13 and coming to school in Kendall. So my cousins that I would see once a year on festive occasions, I managed to come to Kendall where I was able to see them all the time. It was for me, it was great because at that point, age 13, I was just starting to get involved in sports, liking sports and competition, which was running deep in my veins at that time. And I see my cousin Aaron. Number one, he was tough as freaking nails. He was also the goalie for the soccer team. And you got to be a special breed to be the goalie for a soccer team. Like where most people are running away, you run into a ball going 60, 70, 80 miles an hour. Who knows? And right in the middle of a group of people trying to kick the ball. So, but when basketball season rolled around, he taught me so many lessons about the game of basketball, concept, being tough. He's also a person. When we started playing at age 13, I was playing with the older guys at the time. Nate and I were, my cousin Nathaniel. And Aaron hit me so hard. And his big thing was he wanted to make us all tough. We had to be tough. It wasn't enough just to be playing and be athletic and be good, but you had to be tough. You had to be a soldier. You had to be a warrior. You had to go out there and, So I remember like it was yesterday. So it was at the time I was on a junior varsity with Nate and I played together. My cousin Nathaniel was 6'4", 6'6", and he had, the elevator has these different floors. They have like the 1 through 10 or 1 through 12, and then they have that that floor that nobody can go to. You had to have a special pass. Well, Aaron and Nate had that special pass to go up to that. I used to say they could jump as high as they wanted to, but it was a hoot because so I was playing with as a freshman. I was on the JV for the beginning of the season. We were practicing, so we had the scrimmage against the varsity. That was the biggest thing that we talked about all day. We're going to play against the varsity, and Nate and I, we were trying to convince ourselves that we were, as tough as Aaron was, and there were two of us, so we could double team him and do a bunch of stuff. I was like 6'8" or 6'9" at the time, long and lanky, and I weighed about $160. I was maybe 165 pounds. And so the game starts, and Aaron gets the ball, and Nate and I come over, our arms up real high, and he's got the ball in the low post, and we're double teaming him. And Aaron, first of all, he was the most powerful human being that I knew. He was incredibly, I call it country boy strong. And he just caught the ball, put his elbows out, and he jumped right into my chest. That's the hardest that I've ever been hit in my entire life, bar none. And I played professionally for 16 years. I played at Syracuse University, took a bunch of bumps and bruises. I played a physical game. He hit me so hard, and after he hit me, he stared right in my face. And he's like, and I remember thinking, he knocked the wind out of me, but I refused to let him know that he hurt me. So I couldn't breathe. I was like, I just pretended like it didn't hurt. But I'm telling you, I felt. Remember the old cartoons where there'd be a cannonball shot through the middle of the either Coyote or Sylvester the cat, or whoever. There was a cannonball shot right through. When they looked down, they could see daylight, the big hole. You could see light on the other side. That's exactly what I felt like. He hit me so hard, and I made a note to myself. So the next time he gets the ball on a low post, I think they called a foul, or Coach Reynolds started to play over again. I thought I was mortally wounded, but so we started to play over again, and the ball goes to the low post again, and Aaron catches the ball and does the same thing. He winds up, and Nate and I are both shoulder to shoulder. He goes to blast right at me again, and Nate and I both opened up, and he fell on the floor. And that's when I learned that you can overcome power by using your head. And I saw it from that point on. I said, you can't hit what you can't catch. And but that was the hardest that I've ever been hit in my life. And then I remember going to games and just trying to understand what was going on. To paint a little picture for you, Aaron, and like I just said, I was probably 6'9", about 160, maybe 165 pounds. And so we're going to the varsity game to watch Aaron play. I believe it was just sophomore or junior year. Aaron was muscularly so developed. He used to put on these dress socks, these high black dress socks. You know, when you're getting ready, because they would dress up, put sport coat and everything, go to the varsity game. And I remember sitting there watching him putting his dress socks on. And then when you pull the socks up to about their calf, they went up just below the knees. When you pull the socks up, the space between your shin bone and your calf muscle, when he put his socks on, you could fit 3 fingers in that space between his shin bone and where his calf muscle protruded on the side. And I remember just sitting there going like, wow, this guy is a beast. Really strong. And he would do things time and time again that would let me know that, hey, listen, he was a strong believer in hard work, and he felt that, you had to work really hard. So the funniest thing that made me laugh was that my high school logic was he's 6'4". At the time I was 6'9" and growing. I said, I'm taller, so if I work just as hard as he does, I could be better. So, and he always gave us something to shoot for. Good morning, Christopher. I'm doing fantastic, thank you. Ciao di comanda. Grazie. Che sei venuto. Ciao. Yes, so it was so funny that and today's his birthday, and just so many things that he taught me about going out there not being you had to be tough. Go out there on the floor. It's about being well dressed, and once the games start, all business. So thank you, Aaron, for that giving me that to work with. Good morning, Dee. How are you today? Thank you. So I got to put this up there because this is what Dee said. Looking sharp. I just trimmed my eyebrows today, so thank you, Dee. Yeah, so it was a hoot out there growing up in the country. Was one of the other things that just so we tell all the secrets today. So senior skip day. So Nathaniel and I, we're 9 months apart. We had senior skip day. So that was senior skip day was on a Friday, and everybody was adamant about the seniors not skipping in school for a day. So what Nathaniel and I did, so we came in to my favorite teacher, Miss Eldred, and I said to Miss Eldred, she was our homeroom teacher at the time. So we said to Miss Eldred, we came and said, listen, we're not going to be Nate and I are not going to be in school on um, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. But if you could give us all our homework, so on Monday and Tuesday, we wanted all the homework for the entire week. Because what we wanted to do is go hang out at the college, Roberts Wesleyan College, with Aaron and do all the stuff that, college kids do, which I'm pretty sure was a violation at the time. So so Miss Eldridge gave us, she said, nope, I want you to, she gave us all our homework. And she said, not only do you have to I'm going to give you this homework, you can get nothing less than a B on all the homework when you turn it back in. So we're like, okay. So we got all our homework Monday through Friday that she had. We picked up our homework all that we had to do to turn in. Didn't leave the house, did all of our homework for the whole week. And then on Wednesday, Nate and I were missing in action. Didn't come to school. Thursday didn't come to school. Friday didn't come to school. And Friday was senior skip day. And that next Monday, everybody got in trouble for skipping on Friday. Nate and I didn't get in trouble because we left on Wednesday. Oh yeah, now everybody knows the rest of our story. Hello, Carol. How are you doing? Good to see you, Carol Eds. So that's one of the little things that we did. What else did we do? It's so crazy now because now when hunting season started, I remember when hunting season started, the day of hunting season, everybody would go out, would get up super early, and they go out hunting before school. So do you know how many shotguns and shotgun shells, and if there weren't 25 or 30 shotguns out in the parking lot in guys' cars, nobody was there. There wasn't one. Hello, Helen. How are you doing? Thanks for stopping in. Just telling stories, just funny stuff that happened to us growing up. What else? What else funny happened growing up in Kendall? Also, as a give you a little background, when I was 9 years old, so I got my first rifle when I was 9 years old, and my dad gave it to me. So that was like a what do you call it? A passage of rights, or a rite of passage. I have a couple languages in my head here, so I kind of reverse things. So it was a rite of passage to get your own gun, because you had to be responsible. You had to, and I had brothers and sisters, so you had to take care of it. They had to be respectful of people and all the rules and everything. So yeah, that was those are good times. And I like shooting today. I'm the owner of rifles and pistols, and I've taken an FBI course for how to handle myself with pistols and whatnot. But I also load my own shells. Yes, I saw that on TV a long time ago, and I always wanted to. So once I got my pistol permit, I would load my own shells. So I loaded 9mm, 45s, and 223s. So that was something I wanted to learn how to do. What else? Joe Smith. Yeah, it's true. Lots of good times. Your older brother and I were crazy, because during practice, we would do, Coach Reynolds would have us doing drills. Kim Smith, and Kim was the guy that played against me. Kim was about 6'2", I think, 6'2", 6'3", and shorter than I was, hence much faster. So what we would do all practice is, once we finished doing our sets, so we'd go over some plays, whatever the play was, when the play would finish, Kim and I would run and touch the end line. We'd as soon as the play ended, we'd turn and we'd touch the pads on one wall, out of bounds, touch the pad. Then we'd turn around and we'd race each other to the opposite end of the court for no apparent reason, because we're just having fun. And then we tap the wall, and then the team was starting to do another set, and we did that the whole practice. So we ran because it was something fun to do. Basketball practice, that was the greatest thing that ever happened to me. And my mother told me, I remember my first practice, My mother said to me, I'd never been able to do anything after school before, and I was 13 at the time. So I said, Mom, can I play basketball? And my mother, who was a whopping 5'3.5", and about $115, about 115 pounds. My mom was a peanut, but she was tough as nails. My dad, 6'6", about 168 pounds, and his nickname was Pee Wee because he was the smallest of his four brothers, hence my size. But Mom says, so I said, Mom, can I play basketball? And she said, do you have a way to get there, and do you have a way to get home? Now, it was very important that you could not lie to your parents. So I had a way to get there. My way to get to basketball practice was on a school bus because I lived 13 miles from school. My way to get home was to walk. I had a couple buddies of mine, and I kid you not, so for the first couple weeks of practice, we would finish practice, and there was one guy that lived out where we lived down that same road was Dwayne Shepler, and Dwayne said, "Hey, if you guys want to ride, you just have to meet me here at the corner, and I'll be going by there about 7:15." But I'll be doggone if after we finish playing, guys have to sit in the locker room and talk about all the moves they made, what they were thinking, and all that stuff. So we never got there on time. So normally when we came out of the old school gym, it was about maybe 300, 400 yards to the place where we're supposed to meet our ride. And we'd come out and we see him go busting out by there because he was always on time because he had a pretty girlfriend, Robin, and he was always on time because we were always lollygagging around because we were kids. But so we ended up walking home, and yes, I walked home for a number of times I lived in Kent. My house was the last house in Kendall School District. And so we'd finish at like 7, 6:30, 6:45. And I would get home at like 10. And it was, so my mother, she didn't worry because, she knew I was out with my friends that lived right up the road. And it was so funny. And just talk about a lesson that I was taught. So I get home after being away to school all day and practice, and I would stay after school and do my homework until it was time for practice. So I always got my schoolwork done. So I get home, it's like 10 something, and I'm hungry. I come in the house. My mom has dinner all prepared on the stove, something really tasty, delicious. And I came in and I just had this taste for French fries. So I got out everything already and I made some French fries. And I didn't eat anything that she had prepared. That was a mistake. Because the next day when I came home for practice, and she didn't say anything to me either. She just walked in the kitchen, saw me said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'll make some French fries." I made French fries and didn't say a word. She just looked in there and left. Next day I came home from practice and I was really hungry. So I wanted to see what she made for dinner. I got in the house, and when I looked in the kitchen was spick and span. It was clean. There was nothing. Not only was there nothing on the stove or in the refrigerator, the dishes were all washed and put away. And that went ahead for a couple of weeks, I think. And then after that, I learned that, you know what? When your mom cooks dinner, whatever it is, that's what you eat. So that was an interesting lesson growing up in Kendall, New York. To give a little background, so my dad was the, I say supposedly because he was like the enforcer, so to speak, but he never really had to enforce because I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't going to do anything wrong. So the first thing he told us, under no circumstances are you to put your hands on my girls. So I grew up in a house with 4 sisters, which I didn't mind him telling me that, but he told me right in front of them. So you can imagine they picked on me a little bit. And, asking me all kind of questions. How come you're always hanging out with the guys? You don't have a girlfriend? You're always playing basketball. What's wrong with you? The same stuff that, I just got to the point where I figured it was going to help me be a better player because I have thicker skin. Oh, yeah. Interesting stuff going up out there. So I remember, so once my mother took us to the drive-in movie. This was epic. So we were going to the drive-in movie. So she made sandwiches. We had chips and we had bottled water and some kind of drinks there. So anyway, so it was my sister, Fanny, Lavinia, and myself. And I believe my brother, Christopher. Anyway, we're in the back. So by the time we get to the movies, so they pull into the movies, we, park. We had a big station wagon, so the back was all let down. So we had little blankets and everything, so we could watch. And it did roll the window down. You put this little speaker thing inside the window, roll it back up. So we're there at the drive-in movie theater, and for those of you who don't know, you stayed in your car. And before the movie even started, I think I took the potato chips. My other sister somebody took the water, somebody took the sandwiches, somebody took the cookies, and we fussed the whole movie. My mother never said a word. So movie finishes, which she's kind of quiet. She looked back there a couple of times, and so we knew something was on. Movie finishes. We get back to the house, and my mom's walking in the house. She's always first. She had the key, and so she's opening up the door. She opens up the door, puts one foot in, and she stops. And we're just all in a row. Boom, 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 boom. And my mom looked at us, and she said, "The next drive-in movie that you go to, you'll have your license." And the next drive-in movie that I went to, I had my license. I drove to. So she was strict, but she used to tell us, Mom just said, "Listen, I am not your best friend. I'm not. Your best friends are at school. I'm your parent, and it's my job to teach you how to be successful." And having said that, we can always have a lot of fun here. And to do that, you have to do one thing. And we said, "What's that, Mom?" She said, "Do exactly what I say." I was like, "Makes sense to me. No problem whatsoever." Oh, I have one of my old teachers there. "Mr. Morey, how you doing?" I still do my, just so you know, he was my shop teacher. I still do all the skills that I learned in your class, even though I think I had a tough time finishing my projects. I was a little distracted. I wanted to learn how to play with every tool and learn how to use everything. So, but anyway, I use all those skills that I learned in your class to this very day. I'm Mr. DIY on steroids. If I want something and I can make it out of wood, my friend Tom Cole has a trucking company, Hilton Spenceport Express, and he gives me all the pallets that I could want or need. And I have all the tools, and I go out there and I saw, cut, and nail and hammer and screw things together. And you know what? I'm pretty good at it. So, Mr. Moore, thank you for your time and your efforts. Yes, so that was one of the things about growing up in Kendall. Yeah, so what else was interesting? Oh, we used to have this. So I learned how to camp, sub-freezing camping. So I went there with my Uncle Ronnie. My Uncle Ronnie and I are 2 years apart, and my grandmother lived with us, and they lived with us, thank goodness. So I had somebody else to, this was earlier when I was in Holly. So we went to this sub-zero free, and the things that I remember, number one, I learned, so we did it right down at the camp right at the end of County Line Road here, Camp Troutberg. And I remember they had this long hill and we're on toboggans. So it was like these 6-man toboggans or whatever. And the first thing that I remember learning was when the toboggan is going down a steep hill and you had to go at 25, 30 miles an hour. We were flying. And at a certain point, the toboggan started to tip. So being having the long arms that I had, I felt that I would stick my arm down, I put my hand down and push the toboggan back up, right? I stuck my arm out, and it was like a 400-pound gorilla grabbed me by the arm and ripped me off that toboggan. And I cartwheeled down that hill at about 35 miles an hour like a bag of bones. And I wasn't smart enough to get hurt, but I do remember I will never, if we're going to fall over, we're all going to fall over. I put my hand out there. It's not the same physics. I got ripped out there and tossed, and I tumbled for about, 15, maybe more. But I mean, from hand to head to foot to shoulder to feet to back to, I just rolled like a sack of potatoes. Lesson learned. And I also remember, so we came back in after doing that, and there was a big pentola, that's Italian. There was a big pot on the fire, and it was full of hot chocolate. There was literally gallons and gallons of hot chocolate. Now, mind you, it was 17 degrees out. We're camping outside. So we had to learn all of our little techniques for sleeping outside. I didn't have a sleeping bag at the time. My grandmother gave me a bunch of blankets and homemade quilts and all that kind of stuff. So I was roasty toasty all night. But we pitched our tents and everything. We've been tobogganing. I've been dragged around the hill and totally exhausted. Came back up, starting to get a little chilly. So we had hot chocolate. And I remember it was, imagine a teenage kid with, and you got all the hot, there's like literally this pot was about that deep and it was about that wide. It was sitting on the fire and the hot chocolate was boiling, and we had to, brought our little camping kits with the little cups and the stuff. And I just got over there, and I remember we drank all of the, I drank all the hot chocolate I could hold. And at a certain point, so I poured, now the hot chocolate, when I say hot, it was boiling in the pot, and then we get a ladle, scoop it out, put it in your cup. After I drank, 4, 5, 6, 8 cups, then you start playing around. So they poured boiling hot chocolate in my cup, and I remember taking it and tossing it up in the air and catching it. When it came down, it was slush. And I remember this like yesterday. I'm like, how come we didn't? That's when you learn how to respect the cold. From boiling hot chocolate in a cup, I tossed it up in the air, and I caught it. I caught most of it anyway, because we thought I was catching it, but it was splashing everywhere. And when it hit, as you tossed it up, you could see it turn white, and it came back down, and it was slush in my cup. So mental note to self, do not leave your skin uncovered. I look like an Eskimo walking around out there. But so my little growing up in Kendall stories. What else was there? I played my first game over at. I played with the big boys over at when I knew I probably had something going on. I was over there playing. I think there was Dean Cole, Eddie Mack, Paul Henneke, Bruce Lewandowski, Jeff Reamer. So we're over there playing like 3-on-3. I'm gonna forget somebody. Nate and Aaron and my other cousin Leander Cooper. We're just rotating around playing, and when you lose, you would go off. And it was over at the school, by the old school. So where the tennis courts are now, the baskets were turned the opposite way, and there was a full court there. So we're over there playing, and that's when I realized that I had the potential to be good at something, because not for what I was able to score or how I was able to play, but I noticed that every time somebody ran into me, they went away with something hurt. I mean, I was a bag of bones. If you ran into my shoulder, you got a bruise. If you ran into my elbow, you got a bruise. If you ran into my hip, you got a bruise. If you bump knees, you got a bruise. Because listen, at that age, I was out of control. My arms, legs flying everywhere. And I started noticing that people didn't want to be anywhere around me because they kept getting hit. And I was like, hey, none of that. So, and as the more I played, the worse I got. I just felt that if I let my arms and legs fly all over the place, it was like my force field around my body. So, but I learned that at age 13 when I was playing with the big guys, and they were like, holy crap. Everybody kept getting a bump on the head, a bump on the arm. They get a hip check. So I was like, yeah, okay. I got this bag of bones under control. I think I can do something if I just work on my game. So, yep, the great fun we had growing up in Kendall. So, the district principal and the principal both lived on Roosevelt Highway, about not even 300 yards from the school. And then down in town, Mr. Gerbic lived in town. Mr. Porter lived in town. Mr. Reynolds lived in Brockport, just up the road. Who else lived in town here? That was enough. So you had the two principals, your teachers that lived right in town. So I made a conscious effort to know I'm not getting in any trouble because they may not know everybody else, but I look like a Q-tip. I was like stuck out like a sore thumb and I had this big thing of hair on so that you could see from like 400 miles away. So if I ever did anything wrong, I would get caught. So I said, guys, I'm not doing anything wrong ever because my mother already said, I don't want no police showing up at my house. So do what you're supposed to do. John Richards, how are you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you. So we have Deirdre Day, Dee Dee, Helen Carroll, Jeff Smith, Mr. Marvin Morey, Christopher Best, John Richards, Ross Murley. What? Hey Ross, how you doing? I know I went to school with your all the teachers, music teachers. Yeah, that's right. Mr. Robeson lived in town too. That's right. And Ross lives right across the street from the school. Didn't think I remember that. I went to school with your sister Renee. Very good, very good. So I wasn't doing anything. I didn't want to get in trouble. So I mean, the worst that we did was we cut through the fields and we'd eat apples and peaches and stuff like that. But that was just to keep us going, survival. And I hung around with and Ross said he just spoke with Renee. She said, I haven't seen Renee I probably haven't seen Renee since, holy smokes, since we got out of school. Please tell Renee I said hello. Yep. So, there was some unique things like I always thought that. So I was on the varsity when I was a ball boy. I was there that's when Aaron and Dean Cole and the Reamers and the other Coles and everybody were on the teams. But Ross asked a question. He said, who was the basketball coach before Coach Reynolds? Yes, you're talking about oh crap, I just realized. I will tell you in just a second. That was I can see his face. His first name was Mr. Knight, James Knight. Yes, you're right. That's it. Right there. Mr. Knight. And he went back to Michigan, I believe, afterwards, after he left Kendall. He was a really cool guy because sometimes when I had to stay after school, oh no, he went on vacation somewhere and Nate and I were house sitting, so to speak. We went over there and we were listening to Richard Pryor records. That's the only place that we could listen in private. And then we left the records over there and he came back home and I was so embarrassed. So we never saw the records again. But that was the kind of stuff that we did to get in trouble. We listened to, R-rated comedy records. So, what else was there to keep us busy? Oh, I thought that I thought for sure that, when you play basketball, you were supposed to win all the time because, so we were, and the 3 years, so the 3 years that my 3 years in that I played on the varsity for 4 years. I was on the varsity for 4 years, but I played for 3 years. I got hurt my first year, and we were 65-1. So we lost one game against Oakville, Alabama, and everybody said, "Well, how did you lose the game?" So the game starts out, and somebody took a shot, and I came flying in from somewhere, and I tipped the ball in, and I came down, and I stepped on the guy's ankle, and I twisted my ankle really badly, and I just remember tying my shoe up and going on there and playing that. And I think I had 17. I think I had 19 and 17 that game, but we lost by 2 or 3 points. I went in the locker room and I took my sneaker off and I literally passed out. It was over Christmas, the last game before Christmas break. And my ankle swelled up to, I measured it, it was 17 inches around. And I played the whole game on it, but when I took my shoe off, it just swelled up and I just boom, I dropped. But we had the whole time to over the Christmas break, so I had 2 or 3 weeks to get ready. And we came back and we beat the pants off them the next time. So we just let them know it was just a fluke. So we got here. Lita. When I'm not fishing at your brother's, I went there the one time. So I went to Mark Maynard's to fish in the pond that I try to help them stock over the years. And I know there's a lot of fish in there, so I took a friend over there to go fishing with me. This is about 6 weeks ago now. Let me tell you, I got out of the car and Mark was laughing because Mark was looking at me on his. I called and told him I was going there, so he was looking at me on his camera. I was there for about 3 casts, and I left and went back and got in the car. It was too cold. I do, when it gets below 60 degrees, I'm not that guy. I tried ice fishing last year one time to say that I did it, caught a fish. And I have a little ice shed, but I haven't been back out there yet. I'm still trying to stay focused. I got a little shed there, so I turn the heater on. It's like 65 degrees in there, but I'm comfortable, but the fish don't seem to like to follow me, so we'll figure it out. Thanks for asking, Alita. Let's see here. Oh, here's a Kendall one for you. What was Jim Boeheim's thoughts on little old Kendall? Well, I can tell you, I was recruited by over 90 colleges. And I know that when Coach Boeheim came to Kendall, he would sit, and when you come right through the door, he'd sit right up in the top corner. And all the other coaches that came from around the country, they left that spot open for Coach Boeheim. Now, mind you, he was just an assistant coach at the time, but they thought he had the best chance because at the time I was going to basketball camp there, and I think he was probably one of the first ones to notice me. Actually, he grew up in Section 5, and yeah, it was good stuff. Let's see here. Here's another question from Ross Murley. You know what? I did okay in Mrs. Schlocketer's music class, but I can't carry a tune in a bucket, and I was slightly distracted. I like being in there because my friends were in there and we'd laugh and talk, and so I got chastised quite a bit. So, but I did okay in the class. She knew that I was kind of like, that was my time to socialize, but hey, I did okay. And I was in her husband's class also. So it was fun, but yeah, music class wasn't, I can't carry a tune in a bucket. And so I would just sit in the back and make like low sounds. And she thought that was fun. Let's see here. There's another question here. Hold on a second. Oh, here we go. From North Jersey, do you believe that the Qs can turn around their fortunes this season? Well, if I'm looking at Syracuse like it was from a player's point of view, you know what they are. They lost a couple really close games against good teams, and if you add those games to where they are now, it's not that bad. It's not as bad as everybody thinks, because you got these guys that are trying to understand how to play together. And when they finally figured it out, they had this COVID break. And the crazy thing about playing basketball is when you take 2 weeks off that you can't play together, it really messes up your timing. It doesn't mess up the fact that you can shoot because when you can't play, everybody's shooting. What it messes up is the timing between when you set a pick and you open up to get the ball. You stop seeing all of the cute little passes, like the quick touch passes, the alley-oops, the backdoor passes. That's what's affected by the little layoff. So now they're coming back in. So when they started back playing, they ended up playing against some of their tougher teams, which they got their butts handed to them a little bit there. This Syracuse team, everybody has to do what they're supposed to. They have to shoot the ball well. And I like the way Jesse Edwards is coming along. He's going to be a stud in the years to come. And I feel that he can be really important in the end of the season, because you got to remember, Coach Boeheim likes to he's very knowledgeable about the game of basketball, and he'll morph that team into playing in a fashion that will help them, that will make them able to win. Whether they'll go, can they turn the season around? We just saw the way they just played this past weekend. I believe that they can, because I believe in the power of positive thinking and believing. So once you buy into what the coach is teaching, man, I played on a team that, Coach Boeheim had a team that nobody thought would do anything. They went to the Final Four. With 2 guys playing, Tyus Battle and Howard. So he morphed that team into being like that. So these guys, they got shooters. If your shooters, get a couple shooters that are on. Get the big guy that is playing well, stays in the game, getting smarter, learning how to stay on the court. The bench is starting to come around now, late in the year, getting some minutes and understanding that you have to. The one thing that you have to understand, the guys coming off the bench, is you got to put in the work. Starters earn their spots on game day. Bench players earn their spot in practice. So you can't lollygag in practice, and then when it's game time, expect to get put into the game. It doesn't work like that. So these guys have understood that. Benny Williams is starting to come out there. He's got to understand, to play at Syracuse, your basketball IQ has got to be pretty high. And you've got to you got to be able to understand where your spots are. The easiest thing for big guys, if you want to play, go in there and get, like, as soon as you get in the game, get like 4 rebounds. They'll never take you out. Oh, it's right there. Ciao Rico, mangio un po' di pasta per me. Un abbraccio, Emanuela. Ciao. So, So yeah, they've got a possibility they can do it. And look who's popped in here, Mark Maynard. It's too cold. Oh, well, hey, listen. Now that's it's going to cause me to bring up this story about practice in Kendall. So the big thing at the end of practice, shooting all the free throws, was whoever had shot the best out of 20 free throws, Coach Reynolds would go into the teacher's lounge and get a little 8-ounce Coke, little glass bottle, and he would give it to, the player that shot the best free throws on the team out of 20 would get that drink. So it was so competitive. So I get up there and I'm like, I think it was my junior year. And so I'm shooting. I got to shoot off with Dave Cole. So I get up there and I shoot 17 for 20. Dave shoots 18 for 20. So I get beat out. So next time up, I shoot 18 for 20. I'm like, well, I'm getting something to drink today. Dave shoots 19 for 20. So I was like, ah. So finally we go on. And then coach says we're going to have foul shooting again. And normally it was on Friday, the day before the game. No, Thursday before the game. And so we're out there, and I'm loaded for bear. I get up, it's my turn to shoot. I bang away 20 for 20, and I'm like, yeah. I said, I'm drinking today. Dave gets up, Dave shoots 20 for 20. Now, that's fantastic, except the only problem was Dave was the upperclassman, so the upperclassman drank first. It's a freaking 8-ounce bottle. It's about that big around. But that was the best 2 ounces of orange soda that I ever had. Other guys had Coke, but we wanted orange. We had orange soda. And the best tasting orange soda I ever had in my life. I had to shoot 20 for 20. And then I had to drink after, because you got the little bottle. And so Dave just kind of tipped it up, opened his mouth, tipped it up, and oops, left me about 2 inches of orange soda in there. I was traumatized, but I tell you what, that was the best orange soda I ever had. And thank you, Dave Cole. And I told his kids about that too. That I'm still, as you can probably tell, I was still, he beat me out so many times, but it made me become a better foul shooter. I think want to make your kids shoot better foul shots? Hey, go there and offer them something. Charlie Smith, how you doing? Thanks for stopping in and saying hi. Thanks, Mark, for reminding me that, and thanks for laughing at me when I went out there to fish in your pond. I was out there like 3 casts, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna answer some emails in the car. So yeah. What else can I think of? What I thought was hilarious growing up in Kendall, because Mark played backup center and I just kind of ruined everything. But the second best team in our league was on our bench, which they soon found out, because Coach Reynolds used to get into trouble because he said we beat teams by 25, 30, 35 points. And Coach Reynolds, he said that he would just, so the coaches, everybody was saying that we were running up the score. I mean, we used to beat teams by so much that when we beat a team by under 20 points, the article would start out, Kendall has a tough night. And that's how the article started out in the paper. We won by 19. So it would start out. So, we'd go out there and we'd play, and then we get to a certain point, and Coach Reynolds said, you're not playing the whole game. So whatever you have to do, by starting, you get to play the first half and 4 minutes of the third quarter. And after that, you're out. These other guys are going to play. So we come out of the game, we'd be up by 10, 12 points. And Mark Maynard and the boys would come in the game, and they push the score up to 25, 35 points. So when they interviewed Coach Reynolds at the end, he said, listen, he said, those guys on our bench got to play against Rosie and Nate all week. He says, I'm not going to tell them once they're playing against normal people, I'm not going to tell them that they can't score. And they go out there after, they would score in bunches. So I just thought that was hilarious. And thanks, Mark, for keeping us honest, because Mark Maynard was a bit of a jokester. So you had to keep your eye on him, or stuff would happen. But Mark, I'm not going to tell them that story about you fishing with Bob Cranick, because that's maybe another time. Here we go. Ross Merlius, was dunking allowed in high school? No, it was not allowed in high school. Actually, the dunk came in my freshman year in college. Was the first, but we used to sneak in. We used to sneak in dunk. You could dunk before the referees got to the gym. But Coach Reynolds did not want you start the game out with a technical, so he he forbid it. So if he was in the gym, it was already too late. So let's see here. Got a couple. Who's this? We have I lost it. Sherry Nottingham Wilson. Sue Dennis. Holly Miller Stephan. Oh, I'm seeing everybody that's here. Kurt Miller. Hello, everyone. Please shoot me a note. Let me know where you are. Hey, this is from Alita. This is Mark's little sister. And Alita is right. Mark, whoa, man, what a jokester. Anytime Mark came around, you had to be ready because he was going to do something freaking hilarious. Let me see what else. What other fun do we used to have? I thought that the last when we went to the sectionals, we didn't have states, and we went to the sectionals. I just thought that we'd go to sectionals, and then we'd win the sectionals, and then we come back home, and at the at county line, the fire trucks would meet us, and the ambulances would meet us. They'd escort us through town with all the lights. And I thought everybody did that, but we were pretty fortunate back then. Every year. Now, what else was there? And I still have a letter from Dick Vitale. Dick Vitale was coaching at the University of Detroit, and he sent me a letter. He sent me a telex the morning of my last college game, and we were for 2 years we were played a 22 game season, so we were playing our 44th game, and he sent me a telex saying, "Oh, I know you're going to go in tonight, and we'd sure love to have you here at the University of Detroit." And isn't that funny that we won 44 games? Now everybody knows what the most famous number everybody associates number 44. Everybody associates number 44 with Syracuse University. Jim Brown, Derek Coleman, all the John Wallace, all the it's a Syracuse number, so to speak. John Proctor, how are you doing? Faith Anderson, hello. Yeah, so that it was one of those things where we won our 44th game, and I ended up going to Syracuse. So I'm thinking back now, like, was that an omen? We won 44 games straight. I'm sorry, we won more than that. I think we won 58, something like that. But we won 44 in 1 year. In 2 years, I'm sorry. Yeah, that was a whole bunch of fun. I just thought, I still remember when I got to Syracuse, and we were at the Naismith Classic, the Hall of Fame Classic. And that's when I lost my first game in college. But that's the first game I lost in like 3.5 years. So I lost the game, and I had 10 points and 12 rebounds. And we lost the game, and I went over to Coach Boeheim, and I apologized. I was like, Coach, I'm sorry. And he's like, sorry for what? I was like, we lost. Isn't that what you do when you lose a game? You apologize. It was so funny. But he said, no, you did good. We just got to work on a couple other things. And, he was happy with my performance. So I was like, wow. It's like, okay. And even then, we knew that Coach Boeheim was probably one of the most talented. After I went to all the basketball camps, and Coach Boeheim's his knowledge of basketball was very obvious to me. My concept of basketball was, Coach Reynolds said, you go out there and you run buck wild, wide open for the whole game, and sooner or later they're going to get tired and you run away with the game. And he said, take the ball for shooting. He said, take the ball up as high as you can and release it as soft as you can towards the basket, and then follow it. And that was basically, I thought that's how you play basketball. So Philip Pateau, it was, he sent a little note over here. It was a great time in Kendall. Absolutely. It was, and for those of you who don't know, Kendall is on Roosevelt Highway. So and no matter which direction you came from, eventually you had to get on Roosevelt Highway for the last either 8 or 10 miles, 5 or 6 miles. You had to get on Roosevelt Highway, and so you can imagine they're all traumatized. They're like, "Oh wow, they named the road after him." That would have been fine if my last name was Roosevelt, but it wasn't. It was Bowie. So I was named after a great man. I'm a junior. I was named after my father. Yes, sir. So we had a lot of fun out here in Kendall. Um, so without any further ado, if there are no other comments to be answered to, I'm going to sign off. If you think of anything else, also I wanted to say again, happy birthday to Aaron. And today's Groundhog Day, and I'm pretty sure the groundhog saw a shadow because the sun was shining when I came here to talk to y'all today. So happy birthday to Aaron, happy Groundhog's Day, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Take care now. Ciao, ciao.